9:45, call this meeting to order. We're here for valuation appeal hearing for on the wood parcel ending in 6725 Alpha. So this is an official hearing. It will be recorded. I'm glad you brought Sheila. That'll improve.
Well, yeah.
Proves the recording greatly.
Great machine.
We will be swearing in everybody who's presenting testimony today. Procedurally, the appellant, you guys will have 10 minutes to present your argument on what you think the value should be and why. And then we'll give the assessor a chance to ask questions and the board. And then the assessor's office will have 10 minutes to explain why they have the numbers they have. And you'll have a chance to ask questions and the board. And then you'll have a 5 minutes for a rebuttal or anything else you want to say or add or final thoughts in summary. And the same for the assessor. And then we'll close that part of the hearing and the board will discuss and make a decision of some sort today. So that's kind of the plan of this thing. Did you get everybody's names? Mm-hmm. Okay, so we've got all of those. If you are going to give testimony or speak at today's meeting, I need you to go ahead and just stand up and raise your right hand. Are you going to speak?
Possibly. Possibly. Better.
So you better do it. Yeah.
Possibly.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yeah.
Okay, please be seated. And we will start off with the appellant. Mr. Mayor, if you would like to present your thoughts on your property and what brings you in and what you have to say about the assessment.
First thing, and I know we set some of this stuff in, but I think you'd find it shocking too if you got your tax things and you found out some of your property taxes went up 277%. And so that was, I'll pass this out. I'll come back to it later on. And what you have in there is the 2022 and the 2023, and the three parts that I went over, of course, is the 1 acre that the house sits on, and in my case, 4.396 acres of the land, additional land. And I'll get into that in a minute.
Other land?
The other land's called other land. And then the net value, which was an increase of 61%. This was over an increase of, I know this, but it all does come together. The year before, I had a 57% increase in net value. So during the 2 years, my property taxes have gone up 130-something%. But anyway, keep that in mind then. As I talk about this. First of all, Shoshone County, from all the indications, the price on houses and property and stuff is beginning to level off. And so, and I know that from talking to real estate people and other people in the area. And then when you get this thing and it says your taxes are going up, you're wondering what in the world is going on. Secondly, I have to be honest. They call me the mayor of Pine Creek for a reason. It was a big joke in high school because Pine Creek was known as sort of not the best desirable place to be. And as I drive by two official junkyards each day going home, I begin to realize that, and people from other areas come in. So I guess my point here is Pinehurst, of all places, the taxes shouldn't be going up,
Pine Creek, you mean?
Pine Creek, yeah, Pine Creek. Did I say Pinehurst?
Yeah.
Well, maybe we should include them, get rid of them too. I don't know. But anyway, Pine Creek then, is not, I would say, the best, most desirable place, even though I do enjoy living there. Don't ever plan on moving. Now, I think what I want to concentrate on is the other lands here. Now, you see, it says that would be 4.939 acres or something. I have maps for you guys. I have the official map here, and I want you to, why I have these maps is I want to show you the value. I don't know.
Yeah. Here.
The value of the land is less than maybe some other areas, okay? When land's appraised, it's appraised for what's on it, but also what the potential is for that land, okay? And I have a sort of a weird situation up there in that I don't have enough acreage to get on the timber deal, because originally when we bought it, we had enough acreage, but then there was a right of way put in so that people could build on either side of us. And so what you have here then is sort of a diagram of where I live. You notice out front there's a vista easement, okay? I could never ever sell that land to anybody who wanted to build. So the potential for that particular part of my land going down or being used or for profit doesn't exist. Behind my house, I have a dike. The dike, of course, you can't build near it. There's certain regulations for that. And then I have Pine Creek. Now notice Pine Creek there. It's not blue. It's just spotted blue, because part of the time the water goes underground, you don't have water, and that's part of it. There's also another drainage coming down there and drains into that. Everything from that dike across is basically for it's almost useless land, other than it does have value looking at it. I have no fences on it. It's steep. It's there's cliffs along there, so that part of the land is not of real value commercial for me. Also, notice the distances here. This map is really not made right, because the total distance back there is 1,200 feet. The dike is 620. So actually, there should be more on a map to show this. There should be more land coming across there that is not of value to me. You can't build on it or anything else. Here's the original plot. If someone would like to see that, it's not colored, of course. I want to give you guys a little bit extra. What I'm trying to say is I have a bunch of land here that commercially has no value. I could not resell it. There's no way of getting into it, and can't build out front and so on. So I think the value of my land should be less simply for that reason. And that's what this is what I'm trying to present. As far as comparable values, I think you have that in your packet. You have comparable values here. It was chosen. Do you have that in the back of your packet somewhere? Okay. To me, and I know you say, well, it's the lowest one. That's why you chose it. But to me, the most comparable house and land to me is the first one on 2 Brady Lane. All right. It only increased 0.26%. Okay. Why do I say it's very comparable? Because it has a newer house than mine, but relatively the same size. It has a little bit less land. So my house is older. It's 50 years old. I have a little bit more land. But of all the things that I could find, that was one of the most comparable ones in this area. Another one that might be more comparable to is the one down here at the bottom where it says Montgomery Gulch. That's outside of the area. But anyway, that's an increase of 8.9, because I was looking at the total value. That's how I was doing it. The total value of the house and the land. Okay. And you will see that none of those even close to 61%, So I guess my main point here is the land value that I have is way out of line. And that then runs the value of my whole house and everything up higher to 61%. And that's where I'm standing. So I'm saying that I think I have a legitimate thing. Now I know Jerry over here, yeah, and that's his job. He's going to pull out some that says that someplace else is going to be higher, and he's going to say, see, Ron, you're getting a good deal. I assume that's what Jerry will do, but I'm,
You know what happens when you assume?
huh?
You know what happens when you assume, Ron?
I know that, but Jerry, you gotta remember, I assumed some things about you in class and I was right on some of them, okay?
Some.
Some, okay, but anyway, so what I'm saying is that I just don't see why mine should be that high, especially on the land which drives the final thing up to 61%. Okay, and so basically, that's where I am on it. So do you guys have any questions about what I'm saying here? Is that, or what do we do? Excuse
So
me.
now I'll let the assessor
Okay,
ask
I'll
if
let-
they have any questions at this
I
point.
got a couple questions. When you mentioned the Pine Creek, the 2 wrecking yards, Ron,
Yeah,
have you ever brought that forth to the county commissioners? Have
No.
you ever filed a blight on it?
no, I haven't, but
And then
go
when you
ahead.
say 277% property tax, do you have something that shows your property tax? Or were you talking valuation?
I'm talking about the valuation
Okay,
of,
there's a difference. So, and then,
well, yeah, but
you know, and then when you talk about the dike and Pine Creek, that is taken out and is waste on your assessment of 6.385.
yeah, I know that, Jerry. I know that. But,
We agree with you. That does not happen.
so you're saying you were too high?
No, on your assessment notice, it shows 0.385 zero value.
Yeah.
So we have recognized the dike and the creek.
Yeah, yes, I understand that. But my point was, it affects the rest of the land because I can't sell it. I can't,
So
you understand that?
when Caitlin, after she's looked at that in the last couple of days, will comment on the other land when she gets her presentation.
Okay, all right.
Okay. Do we have any other questions for the Woods based on their testimony so far?
Is any of that in a floodplain? None of it? Because
I know, we're not on a floodplain because of the dike.
yeah, okay.
Well, yeah, well,
The
no,
other
it
side-
wouldn't be. No,
Okay, and the other side's steep, so it.
yeah,
Okay.
it's on, and you can't get into it. There's no access.
Okay.
Can't do anything.
Any other questions? All right, then let's have the assessor present theirs and then you can
Okay, good.
ask them questions.
Sure.
Pass out some exhibits.
Well, you guys are getting all kinds of stuff today.
It's like Christmas here. And one more.
Is this for us?
That is for you. That for, yeah, have them, I believe. Was there 2 on that one? Okay. Well, anyhow,
Look at that. Go real quick, please.
They're already putting you to work, Corey.
okay, I have some more to pass out. Do you need one more?
One for,
Yeah.
yeah. Yes.
No, I don't have it.
Okay, so I'll go through and kind of talk about the exhibits. Exhibit A is a state or letter from the state tax commission saying that we were out of compliance. Exhibit B is a list of the sales that we had in Pine Creek, sales ratio. So improved land and fair land. Exhibit C is a map of all this, where all the sales were. The Woods parcel is in blue. And then D is a ratio of all of the sales that we had in the gulches like areas. And then I also have the subject property and all of the sales on this sheet. Just kind of goes into detail. So the subject property, they had 5.78 acres, 1,772 finished square feet. And it was built in 1971. And then the sold properties, there are 6 houses and 3 land sales that we looked at. So
Oh, we know, we just, guys got out there.
okay, so going back to the sold property sheet. 2827 West Fork Pine Creek sold in June of last year for $650,000. We had it assessed for 355.
Which one are you on?
Listen here.
Sale 2.
Sale 2?
1874 finished square feet. It was built in 1942. There is an attached garage, various sheds, and a 16 by 38 general purpose building. 116 acres of land with that one. Sale number 3, 2 Brady Lane, sold for $640,000 in August of last year. We had it on for $530,000. It was built in 2007. They do have a detached garage, a attached garage, and just under 2 acres. 368 West Fork Pine Creek sold in December for $373,000. We had it on for $238,000. 1,200 finished square feet. It was built in 1935. There are a couple of shops, 1.15 acres. Next page. 516 West Fork Pine Creek sold in 2021 for $240,000. 1594 finished square feet, built in 1949. 28 by 35 detached garage, and just over 1/4 acre. 15 Maple Lane sold in July of last year for $450,000. We had it on for $355,000. Built in 1970, has a attached garage, 2,400 square feet, and 1 acre of land. And then I have 3 land sales. This one is 4.89 acres, sold in September, it sold for $155,000. We had it on for $36,000. The next one is just over 1 acre, sold for $60,000. We had it on for $12,000. The next one is 0.66 of 1 acre. It sold for $82,500, and we had it on for $23,000. So, and then you can see on the map, this map here, Exhibit C, just kind of shows where everything was that sold. So, did you have written down what we didn't map that out yet?
No, we haven't. So, we'll introduce this. We're limited on copies of this because this is the last minute.
Okay.
This is so
But
sick.
as,
We're limited on copies.
There's our house.
There was
Those are for us.
Right.
as you'll look at that, and you see Pine Creek splits the Woods property. And I agree with Ron 100% that that property across the creek should be significantly lower. Caitlin had that appraised, thinking there was access to it. There is some access to it, and it does have some value.
Yeah, I have a horse trail up there.
So, so
That's true.
it would be, Ron, there's decent timber growing on it, so it would be of interest to timber, the joining timber.
Oh,
company.
but
I disagree with that because it's in the
Well,
creek.
we'll give you a
Yeah.
chance.
Excuse me.
But it's land that would definitely would not be highly desirable, but it does include acreage. So, Penny, did you figure what woodland,
I haven't yet, no.
but because after our last cancellation, we were going through this paperwork and I pointed that out to Caitlin. We haven't done the figures on that yet, but it should not be valued as the stuff that is. Would that be east, Ron? Is the house
The house,
east of the creek?
yes, sir.
So
Yes, yeah.
it should not have the same value as the stuff that's east of the creek, the
Yeah.
stuff that's on the west. So if we can refer to that, we can have our mapper scale that and get you a new price by the end of the day, a new value on that property.
Okay.
So. And I believe that'll affect some of our discussions as we go on for other appeals today. But as you can see, these comps, they don't lie. This is actual sales that we use. One of them is a little older, it's from 21. And the land sales that show Georgetown County is a desirable place to be. Biggest portion of by far of our sales are people from Kootenai County that have been either priced out of Kootenai County or tired of the jets. They're moving here. They're also coming from Portland. They're coming from Seattle.
yeah.
They're coming from California. I know a gentleman I talked to yesterday. I'm happy to give you that price for that one.
Well, that's not the point.
What they're, yes,
Wait.
that's the point. Our job is to put a fair market value on it, January 1st of each year. So I agree with you. It has increased, but you're not the only one that has increased. All of them have increased in Shoshone County.
Well, I understand that. I understand all of that, but what I'm saying is, how can I, as a retired person, continue on with this 60% every year increase in my taxes? I won't be able to live there. And
With that, and I think I told you this in the office, and I mentioned this yesterday. Sounds cold-hearted, but as an assessor's office, we don't care what your taxes are. That sounds cold-hearted, but our job is to put a fair market value on that. And
Well-
treat everybody fair and equal. Now, with that, the legislature does understand there is a problem with residential properties increasing. So this year they've allocated money to the counties to reduce their property taxes. What that is, I can tell you the procedure. The state has a little tiny bit of money in their sales tax revenue in excess of $1.5 billion. So they're gonna take 500 million of that and distribute it to the counties for property taxes.
so,
So any homeowner will get a reduction, they'll see a little rebate on their tax bill. Also, that's half, the other half they'll use to buy down school bonds.
so, but
What that 500 million means throughout the state, I
Okay.
can't venture.
that's all good. I'm back to here to this point. You're going to choose, because that's your job, you're gonna choose the higher ones that
No.
you have here.
No,
Okay, then how come this guy here, he gets a 0.26 increase and I end up with a 61. Is that just
When
random?
you say 0.26,
0.26 to Brady Lane, all right, it sold for $640,000. It was appraised for $638,000. That's right down the road.
okay,
And that's the most, to me, that's one of the most comparable ones
okay, stop
to
there.
to me.
So board, you've heard Mr. Wood say this is the most comparable to his property. It's 640,000. So I asked that the board correct his assessment notice to 640,000. His words, not mine. That's the most comparable, 640,000.
I'm talking about the increase. I'm talking about the
Okay,
increase.
let's get back on track.
So-
Your 10 minutes was up. You can ask a couple questions.
God,
if you'd like.
I don't know.
Yeah, I understood you to mean something different. when
Yeah,
you said
but
that,
that's-
But I understand what he's trying to make a point here, but I understand
I
what
know-
you said. You're pointing out that some of these properties did sell for very close to what they were assessed.
Right, that's my problem.
They've shown some that didn't,
Right,
but there are some that did. So that would make it hard to justify in your mind why you would have a
Yeah.
60%
Yep.
increase.
that's basically what I'm saying.
Understood that. Do you have any further questions for the assessor?
No, I don't, and I know this is nothing in your hands, commissioners, but this process is really, stacked against the person that's coming in for all kinds of reasons.
And-
You have a time frame you have to operate in. It doesn't give you guys enough time, doesn't give us enough time. And in our case, we were never officially notified,
That's
by
what I was
phone
gonna say, no phone,
or
call, no
mail.
letter, nothing. We found out by accident
And then we
at a Fourth of
when
July
we come-
gathering.
Yeah, and we found out. So anyway, maybe you guys can review. I know there's limited things you can do because the state has set this all up. But maybe there's something you could do that can make it more user friendly. You know,
Yeah.
it would also be better for you guys because in the end, between him and you guys, you're the ones that are gonna be taking the heat, for this. So that's basically all I gotta say, Dave. I don't have any other thing to present.
Okay.
And any other questions?
Any closing remarks for the assessor? Are you finished? Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean
Is
to cut you
there
off.
any way that anyone could come out to our land in person and look it over, like what Ron, what Ron has talked about, or
Or as,
can we do that, or is that?
And Caitlin's been on the property. And she agreed that back acreage that's on the west
Okay.
side of the creek
Yeah.
warrants a lower value.
okay,
On what that is right now, I can't tell you.
okay, so you say,
We'll let you.
They
know.
are gonna reduce.
They're gonna reduce
thank
it.
you. I
That.
thank you.
Now, I just have another quick question on that piece of property he's talking about where the Avista has an easement.
Yeah.
How does that factor into?
Well, and we do take that into account. It has some use.
Well, yeah, it has some use, but
The
what I'm
horses-
saying
the
is,
horses are
as
in.
commercial,
Right, you couldn't
couldn't
break
yeah,
that piece
yeah,
off.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
simply my point, yeah. Okay,
Okay. Did you have any closing comments?
I don't.
Okay. All right. So now we will close that portion of the hearing and just deliberate between the three of us on, based on what has been presented. All right, Board of Commissioners, what are you thinking? I'm seeing some comparables here that show things all over the place as far as the percentage of increase. I'm concerned that the idea that we were behind on Pine Creek and then caught up doesn't work very well if they got a 50% increase last year too. So how could we be behind 2 years when we're doing increases twice? Those are just thoughts in my head.
And one of the things is we're here. Basically, you have to prove that the assessor's value is erred.
Mhm.
And so we have to show proof. And so our job is basically to make sure that it's market value. So, and, we don't have any exercise over, over that. Just, that's basically what this is his value erred.
Right.
And, we have to use market analysis. So, and they are gonna reduce it, right?
But which line item would that be? The other land,
The other land.
Yeah, the other line.
4.296.
which is gonna be partially on that side of the creek and partially on the other.
Right.
So. Um, you have a note here about the trees tripled. That's the part they're going to reduce, they're saying,
Yeah.
No, I don't have the color.
but we don't know how
Oh, this one.
much. So assuming they even reduced it by half, that would put you at 440 or so, 50.
Excuse me, do we get to keep all these handouts that you?
Yeah. You guys got a good map here. If I'd known that, I wouldn't bother to draw that one up,
And we can get you those for.
Yeah.
And Ron, that is the information is online.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, but
That's not,
remember how old I am.
I'm not too.
Online. Yeah, online, what's that?
okay, commission, I've done my own research on Pine Creek because of my own home up there. I do believe there's some error and personally in the amount of markup on Upper Pine Creek in particular. I just don't see the same percentage of increase there as I've seen in the cities. The distance from town and he's mentioned the junkyards, the other things that make it harder to sell a home. We've seen some homes that did sell for good rates, but we've seen some that only sold for 1% and 2% increases over their past values. So I don't know that the assessor was that far off in the past, according to some of these sales. So I'm inclined I mean, I'm glad we're lowering it. I just wish we knew how much we were lowering it because that can make a big difference to the price.
Can I interrupt, Commissioner? On this, it's not accurate.
It's not accurate.
No. The assessed value on 238 last year. It says 638. The assessed value on it last year was 530 or 968.
Well,
And that's the only one. I've got information right here to check this.
that's interesting because that's one that I looked up for my own home and I saw the 638 in one of the books.
Mhm.
So that is the same mistake I would have made myself because I saw the same number. But you said it wasn't really what?
Last year's assessed value was 530,968.
Mm. Yeah, that's not what I saw in the book when I looked at it. I haven't looked at all of them, but I did see the Brady one because it was more comparable to my own.
What book are you talking about?
The books in Jerry's office, MLS and whatever you call the other book.
Yeah.
The sales book.
So the sold amount's 640, that's correct, but the assessed amount was off.
Right.
All right, board. I've told you what I think. You tell me what you think.
Elaborate more on what you think and how you got to that and what would your position be in a numeric value or, I don't understand what you're.
I think you could do whatever you want with statistics, so we need to be careful. I think you could pick higher sales and show that there is a bigger increase. I think you could also pick lower sales and show there's a smaller increase. So I'm inclined to side with the homeowner on that when I see there are multiple sales that show lower values as well. We just did a hearing yesterday for a property up Trapper Creek where we reduced the price of the land or the home because of their distance from town, etc. I'm looking at these prices. I honestly think just based on my own knowledge, and I'm trying not to be biased, but I have my own knowledge because I live there, that I think we're starting to get beyond what might be market value on some of these houses. And the fact that it's increased twice concerns me, that the state says we should correct it, but we already corrected it last year. So I'm a 50% increase last year and a 60% increase this year sounds like there was, I don't understand that. That doesn't make sense that we're suddenly correcting Pine Creek because it was behind, but we already did some correcting last year. And
Commissioner, can I answer that?
help me out.
So we did that. And the land sales we used land sales for 21. And the land sales we got in for 22 are still significantly higher. So that tells me we didn't correct it enough, or they increased more dramatically there last year than other places.
Well, some of the land sales were higher, but some are not. When you look at other at our gulches,
Improved or under? Oh, other gulches.
or even a couple of these listed in Pine Creek that are selling for the 300s and the 185s and the, and I know that they're, like you said yesterday, no two properties are exactly alike, so there's no way to get an exact comparison. So right now I would be inclined that I mean, I wish we had the assessor's corrected numbers on this so we could say something accurate. So I would either be inclined that we lower this, or that we give the Woods a rehearing on Monday after they've seen the assessor's correction to see if they're happy with that or not.
I would agree with looking at, re-looking at this Monday. One of the things is when we do a fair market value, you have to take all the properties that are like in consideration, right?
Correct.
Comparables. Now, on the one that sold for 650,000, there's 116 acres, right? This one.
Let's see.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's probably quite a bit of that. But then you have but then you have a 2008 property with a large shop for 640. So that comparable is really not, would that compare the 640?
Which one is
This
that?
one, number 3, since it's so new? Does that have a,
So you're about 2007 versus a 45.
when your home was built when?
In 1971.
1971. And then we have property sale number 3 for, it's a 2008 with a large shop.
Well, and it got a couple shops and then a smaller one.
Okay.
So, that with 116 acres, I'd have to agree, probably 116 acres, 100 and some acres, that would probably be timberland
Oh,
with a
okay.
timber exemption. So it would have value, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But I believe the Department of Land sold property for, I think it was $2,800 an acre.
Okay.
So if you subtract that 200,000 out, that would be right in the same ballpark. So
Okay.
Okay. Well, we do need to move on just
Okay.
because our next hearing in a few minutes. Would the Wood family be amenable to waiting to see what the assessor corrects
Yes.
and then having an option for a rehearing on Monday?
Excuse me.
What time on
We
Monday?
can't come in on Monday. We have relatives coming and.
Could you do it by
maybe-
phone?
What's that?
Yes, we could do it by phone.
Probably, we'll
Make
be
a phone
gone
call for 30 minutes?
in the morning.
In the
like
morning?
10 or
Is that
11.
possible?
We'll be gone the
No,
rest of the
what's-
day.
Yeah, we don't have any.
Okay.
We can do it in the morning.
Yep.
Yeah, like
We'll
by
do it in the
10.
morning. So we can get
Right.
done.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
We'll be here.
good number.
That would be,
Go 8. 682-2282.
We'll call you with it.
Okay, don't call us on our cells, because we don't get cell coverage, see?
Right.
But that's a good thing. I was gonna bring that up, but that's a good thing, back in cell.
All right, so,
Thank you.
we need to make a motion for that. I will motion that we, schedule this for a rehearing pending their decision after they hear from the assessor.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, motion carries and meeting is adjourned. Thank you, Mr. Setzer, for working